I decided to read for this video is one that has been staring at me, judging me from my TBR pile for way too long, and that is Too Late by Colleen Hoover. As you guys know, I love me some Colleen Hoover. I know she's a very controversial author on BookTube and Book Talk. You either love her or you hate her. There's like no in between. I personally love the majority of her books, and I've read a shit ton of Colleen Hoover books. Like, I have a whole shelf on my bookcase dedicated to Colleen Hoover. But this one in particular, I bought without really hearing much about it. Like, I still don't see this book on Book Talk or on BookTube all that much. This one is supposed to be very dark. It's supposed to be very different from her other books, which kind of makes me nervous because I don't know what to really expect with this one. This one basically follows 3 characters, and I did skim through the book, and it seems like I'm going to get 3 different point of views, which I love getting different point of views in a book. It just makes reading the book so much more entertaining, and it feels like you fly through a book when there's multiple POVs. This one, it seems like it follows Sloane, Aza, and Carter. Sloane is in a toxic relationship with Aza, and Carter enters the picture at some point, and I guess kind of makes Sloane question her relationship. I don't know. Definitely giving toxic vibes. It's giving a love triangle. Like I said, I really don't know what to expect with this one, but this is the book that we're going to start with in this vlog, and hopefully it's good. I mean, it's Colleen Hoover, so it probably won't be terrible, but let's see if it's actually good. You can probably hear my washing machine, so I'm sorry for that, but I have to multitask and I'm doing laundry right now while I read. I just got to chapter 2, so I finished chapter 1. Obviously, we're already starting off with a bang. Like, we're starting off in a very dark way. I was not expecting this book to be so dark right from the beginning, and let's just say that I already despise Aza's character. Like, I knew he was supposed to be like the bad boy, toxic and all that, but I didn't really realize how horrible of a human being he was actually going to be. And now I definitely am aware that this book is definitely going to be a dark one. Hi, Amelia, my little baby. I don't think I've ever hated a character in a book as much as I hate Aza. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And honestly, I don't even care because he's a piece of shit. I despise his character so much. He's like the worst type of man that exists. I just can't deal. Watch this whole video just be me shit talking about his character. I don't even care. There's no way he'll be redeemed, at least in my eyes. Like, I don't care what happens to him in this book, I will probably always hate him. Oh my gosh. I'm being so intense right now, but I'm sorry. I hate his character, and I just can't say that enough. This book is feeling very insta-lovey right now. I'm not really here for it. Normally I don't mind that trope, but for some reason it's just rubbing me the wrong way in this book. I feel like things are moving too fast between Carter and Sloane. They literally just met and he's already willing to jeopardize his entire career for her. I'm like, but you barely know the girl. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm kind of struggling with the insta-lovey part of this book. Just a tad. Sloane has such a good heart. She actually has the heart to feel bad for Aza. Let me tell you something. I don't feel bad for him at all. In the book, there are certain chapters that go like back in time, and you get to read about Isa's that name. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. There's a couple chapters that take place in the past, in his childhood, and you get to get a glimpse into his upbringing, which wasn't great, but having shitty parents is not an excuse to be a shitty, terrible person. Like, there are people who have had a shitty upbringing, who have had like the worst parents imaginable, and they're good people and they do good in the world. Just because you had a shitty upbringing doesn't mean that you get to treat everyone else like shit, and doesn't mean that you you get to project your own insecurities to the extent that he's projecting his own insecurities onto Sloane. Does that make sense? I don't feel bad for him at all. Not even like a little bit bad. Everything he's done so far just tells me he's a horrible, horrible human being. But little Miss Sloane somehow finds it within her to feel bad for him. And I'm just like, girl, don't feel bad for him. You deserve a lot better. I just got to page 204 and I feel like something is about to go down. Like, you know when you get to the point of the book and you know something bad is about to go down? That's where I'm at right now. I feel like something horrible is about to go down that's going to change this whole book, and it's going to be intense. There's a lot of build up for an explosion and I'm kind of scared to keep on reading. Shit is about to go down. Turns out that I was right. Shit just went down. Sloane and Carter are definitely in a pickle. I literally cannot deal with how bad Carter is at his job. Like, I've never read a character who sucks at doing his job more than Carter does. I understand being overwhelmed by your emotions and wanting to protect those you love, but holy crap, is Carter horrible at his job. What are you doing, sir? What are you doing? Technically, I just finished a book. It ends on page 253. Ends because I guess Colleen Hoover didn't want to stop writing, so she added a bunch of chapters after the book officially ends. I don't know. I'm kind of confused. I still have this much technically left of the book. I'm interested to see how this plays out because everything kind of just like wrapped up on the last chapter, but I guess not. We shall see. I honestly need to give more credit to Asa because despite the fact that I hate him, I hate his character so much. The dude is very smart at playing people. Like, he's so good at manipulating people, it's kind of scary. He's literally an evil mastermind. Hate him, despise him. I hope he gets what he deserves, but I have to give him his props because he's really good at manipulating people. Now there's a prologue at the end of the book. Colleen Hoover, what are you doing to me right now? What is going on? I feel like I just watched the most intense thriller ever because of these final chapters in this book. I don't know how I feel. I think I need a few days to process everything I just read. I don't even know what to think about what I just read. It's been a few days since I finished Too Late by Colleen Hoover, and I still don't really know how I feel about it, but I need to share my opinion with you guys. At least the opinion that I have so far about this book. I took the last couple days to really reflect on whether or not I actually enjoyed reading this because I truly do not know. Don't get me wrong, this book right here is really addicting to read. It's classic Colleen Hoover writing where you don't want to put the book down and you want to keep on reading to find out what happens next. But once you finish it, at least for me, I was just like, did I actually enjoy reading that, or was the writing just very addicting? I do know that this is definitely not my favorite Colleen Hoover book by any means. Like I said before, this book is very, very different from any of her other books. It's romance, but it's a very dark romance. So if that is not your thing, stay away from this book. Some people think that Verity is dark. They clearly have not read this book from her because this is 10 times darker than Verity, and it deals with a lot of topics that even I had trouble reading through. And I'm not a very sensitive type of person. Like, I can read dark books and not really be affected by them, but this one for some reason was definitely a little bit harder for me to get through because of the topics that it had. I also had a few problems with the added chapters at the end of the book. Like, Colleen Hoover wrote the epilogue and apparently she couldn't stop writing, so she added more like bonus chapters. What are you doing? That basically continued the book, and my main issues with the book are within those chapters. Like, I didn't really like how the main character Sloane needed Carter to save her, especially with everything that she went through. I kind of wish that she did more of her own saving and didn't really jump into a relationship with Carter so quickly, especially after knowing this guy for only a few weeks. With like everything that Sloane went through, it's just very hard for me to believe that she would jump into a brand new relationship relationship with someone that she only knew for a few weeks, regardless if he's like this amazing guy that wants to protect her. I just feel like she really hasn't learned how to be on her own quite yet. Also, their relationship felt very insta-lovey, which again, I don't normally mind an insta-love story if it's done right, but if it's not done right, it kind of seems forced to me. Carter and Sloane's relationship definitely feels a little forced to me and not really all that believable, if I'm being honest. But again, that's just my opinion. You may disagree with me. I don't know. I didn't really like them together. Even though I like their characters, I just didn't like them together. You know, does that make sense? This one is definitely an iffy book for me. Again, I don't really know what to think of it. For now, I'm giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. I think that's pretty fair because I did enjoy reading it while I was reading it. Like I said, it was very addicting and I didn't want to put it down. But once I finished it, I was just like, did I really enjoy this? Or did I like lie to myself and say that I enjoyed it because it was Colleen Hoover? I definitely wouldn't recommend this book to everyone. Like I said, it's very dark. It deals with a lot of deep topics that could be really triggering for a lot of people. So definitely look up the trigger warnings. Please look up the trigger warnings because if you have been in a similar situation as Sloane, I can definitely see this book being super triggering. Just proceed with caution, okay? I don't want anyone to be shocked if they end up picking up this book because like I said, it is quite dark and it is very different from her other books. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Too Late by Colleen Hoover. Next up we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J Maas. I have been meaning to start this book for such a long time and I've just kept putting it off, mainly because so many of you guys told me to pick up The Assassin Blade, which I guess is the prequel to Throne of Glass, but I haven't ordered that one yet. And since I'm trying to get through my physical TBR, I haven't been really buying all that many books. I've purchased books here and there, but I haven't bought a ton of new books and I don't really want to buy the prequel yet until I'm sure that I even like the series. I did look it up and people say that you don't really need to read The Assassin's Blade to understand what goes on in Throne of Glass. I think Throne of Glass came out first anyways. You just get a better understanding of the characters if you do read the prequel, which I can always just go back and read the prequel if I end up liking this book and if I decide to read the rest of the books in the series. Because I don't know, I might hate this book and I might not want to continue the series. But if you're unfamiliar with the Throne of Glass series, it is a fantasy series and it goes, in a world without magic, an assassin is summoned to the castle. She comes not to kill the vicious king who rules from his throne of glass, but to win her freedom. If she defeats 23 killers in a competition, she will be released from prison to serve as the king's champion. The crown prince will provoke her, the captain of the guard will protect her, and a princess from a faraway land will befriend her. But something evil dwells in the castle, and it's there to kill. When her competitors start dying one by one, her fight for freedom becomes a fight for survival, and a desperate quest to root out the evil before it destroys her world. I mean, it sounds like it's going to be pretty entertaining. We shall see. So let's just get to reading. I just got to chapter 10. I am about 66 pages into the book. Not a lot has happened yet. I feel like we're just about to get into the action. I feel like the suspense is building. Selena, which I like that name. It's actually a really pretty name, but I like how sassy she is and how she doesn't take anyone's shit, even though technically she's a prisoner. She still is very sassy, has an attitude that I just love, and she's very entertaining. So I'm really enjoying the book so far. I do hope that it picks up a little bit soon, but since this is the first book in the series, I'm expecting it to be a little slow, so it builds the world and we get to know the characters and all of that. But so far so good. I'm actually really enjoying it. It is now the next day. I'm still reading Throne of Glass. I actually just got to chapter 24 and I'm 171 pages in. It's picked up a little bit. The competition has started and the main character is struggling with showing that she deserves to be in the competition, but also not showing all of her abilities all at once and not showing her true strength. So she's struggling with balancing both of those things. Like if it was up to her, she would show everyone how how strong she actually is. She's actually been advised not to, and to just kind of like tread lightly in the competition. That way she'll surprise everyone at the end when she makes it to basically the finish line, I guess. Every few days there's like a new competition that she basically has to prove herself, along with what started with 23 contestants and now they're down to 19 and 18. Some of them were sent back to their prisons, others have died during the competition, and then 2 were actually murdered. So they're trying to figure out what is happening. I really have been enjoying all the characters so far, even the side characters, even the prince, Dorian I think is his name. I definitely feel like every character is hiding something now and has like an ulterior motive that I'm still trying to figure out. Like I don't really trust anyone, and I feel like there's going to be a big twist, especially with the murders happening. I feel like the person that's committing those murders is an obvious character, but then again, I'm not 100% sure yet. I don't know. I'm like trying to figure out who the murderer is while like side-eyeing every single character in this book. I don't know. I feel like everyone is hiding a secret and has their own secret motive. Kind of curious to see how it plays out, so we're just going to continue on reading. Okay, so I feel like there's a love triangle brewing and I'm kind of here for it. I don't know who to root for. I don't know who to trust. I'm scared that this is going to be like A Court of Thorns and Roses, where Sarah J Maas made me fall in love with Tamlin only to make me hate him in the rest of the series. And I really hope that doesn't happen with the Captain of the Guards and Prince Dorian. I really love them both, but I feel like they're both falling for the main character, and obviously only one can actually be with her. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused. I don't know who to root for, you guys. I'm like traumatized to root for the wrong guy because I rooted so much for Tamlin in A Court of Thorns and Roses and it turned out that he was an ass. So I really hope that that's not the case with this book and that they don't betray the main character, but I don't know. I'm so close to finishing this book. I'm literally less than 100 pages away from being done. I'm on page 326. The numbers look weird, but I'm on page 326 and I'm still so confused. Like I have my theories on who's going to betray the main character, but I don't feel like confident in my theory. I low-key hope I'm wrong about who I think is going to betray the main character because I like this character and I don't want them to turn out to be a villain, but I don't know. We shall see. It's the next morning and I just woke up, so don't mind my appearance right now. I finished Throne of Glass last night. I wanted to share my opinions first thing as soon as I woke up this morning so I didn't forget anything. I really enjoyed this book. I think it was a solid start to a fantasy series. I was reading reviews on Goodreads and a lot of people hated the main character. I actually didn't. I didn't find her annoying. I guess a lot of people did find her annoying, but I really liked her attitude. I really like her sass. I mean, there are moments where I like question how she truly was an assassin when she kept getting caught off guard. But at the end of the day, she's only 18 and she spent the last year of her life as a prisoner. It kind of makes sense that she's not the most mature. I'm not gonna lie, I am a little upset over the ending. I thought that she was going to end up with a certain character. I'm not going to say who. When that didn't happen, that was a little disappointing. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of curious to see if they end up together in the later books. I thought it was pretty entertaining. There are some slow moments, but I just think that was Sarah J Maas building up the world. She did the same thing in A Court of Thorns and Roses. A lot of people hated that book because it was so slow. I personally enjoyed it because it was so slow, especially since I'm not a huge fantasy reader. I don't really know what's going on half the time in these fantasy books. So I really like that Sarah J Maas took her time and really explained the world that the characters lived in. So yeah, I think it's a solid start. It's not as good as A Court of Thorns and Roses, but it's a pretty good start to a series that I'm definitely going to continue reading. I think I'd give it like a 3 out of 5 stars and I definitely would recommend it. I can't wait to pick up the rest of the books. There are a ton of other books I think in this series, so I'll be reading a lot of fantasy this year. With that being said, I think I'm going to end off the vlog here. These are pretty much the only 2 books I am reading this week. I mean, it's already Sunday, so the week is basically over. Let me know if you guys want a part 3. I really love filming this series on my channel because it holds me accountable and it forces me to read the books that I currently own before or buying any new ones. Let me know if you guys want a part 3 and if you're enjoying this series. And that is pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you a part of my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.